The sky looked calm. The stars above twinkled as always. But far beyond what any eye could see, something had entered Earth's space, something quiet, alone, and not from this world. It began with a soft buzz at the North American Space Watch Center. A technician named Rosa leaned forward, staring at the blinking red light on her console. It wasn't an alarm yet, just a signal. A strange one. Unlike anything in their system, Commander Rosa said, keeping her voice steady. I think you should see this. Commander Jensen walked over. He was an older man with sharp eyes and years of calm under pressure. He looked at the screen and frowned. Trajectory, he asked. Straight toward Earth. No known propulsion. No radiation. No communication. Just moving. How fast? 10 times the speed of our fastest drone, but slowing down, intentionally. That's what made it terrifying. Within the hour, the world's top agencies were alerted. NASA, ESA, the Chinese Space Defense Command, and the Orbital Strike Division were all watching the same thing. A silver object shaped like a teardrop, floating silently through space. It didn't match any known technology, alien or human. It didn't respond to hails. It didn't flash lights. It just kept coming. Then it stopped. Hovering 150 kilometers above the Pacific Ocean, it simply sat there, not moving, not threatening, just there. The President of the United Nations Emergency Council called for calm. We must not assume hostility, she said, on every major news channel. We must welcome peace. But the world was already afraid. On board the mysterious ship, Kael stood alone in the soft blue light of his command pod. He wasn't wearing armor. He wore a smooth, dark robe, with a symbol across his chest, glowing circle with 3 points, like stars orbiting a sun. His skin was pale silver. His eyes glowed faintly. Not with fire, but with thought. Atmosphere acceptable, his ship's AI said. Prepare landing protocol, Kael said calmly. No weapons, no shields. Full broadcast in all languages. Yes, Kael, are you certain? They may see peace as weakness. Then let them, Kael whispered. He had come far, across dead systems and sleeping stars. His people once knew Earth, long ago. They spoke of humans with hope. But now he had come to see if that hope was real. The ship slowly descended over the Pacific. It stopped just above the ocean, then gently hovered down near a U.S. Navy fleet stationed near Hawaii. Fighters scrambled into the sky. Missiles were locked. Hold fire, the fleet commander ordered. Then the ship opened. A ramp unfolded silently, and a single figure stepped out. Kael. No weapons, no armor, just his glowing symbol. He raised his hands. Cameras zoomed in. Across the world, billions watched live. He spoke. Every person heard the message in their own language. I come in peace. I bring knowledge. I seek friendship. I ask only to speak. For a moment there was silence. Then someone fired. It was unclear who fired first. Some say it was a nervous soldier. Others say it was a mistake from an old targeting system, but it didn't matter. The result was the same. A single missile launched. Kael looked up not in fear, but in silence. The explosion was bright. Fire and smoke swallowed him. The blast shook the sea. The alien ship closed its ramp and vanished, instantly leaving no trace. Radar lost it. Satellite saw nothing. The world gasped. Had they killed the only alien who came in peace? Commander? Jensen watched the screen go black. His hands were cold. What have we done? He whispered. Hours passed. Some said it was over, that the threat had been neutralized. The Earth had defended itself. But others weren't so sure. In a deep command center beneath Geneva, a scientist named Dr. Kenji Ito ran the signal data again. His AI tried to follow the alien ship's final movement, but there was no trail. No exit burst. It had simply blinked out of space. Teleportation? Someone asked. No, Kenji said slowly. Something else. Something older. He folded. Space? What does that mean? Kenji looked at the screen. It means he's not gone. It means he's somewhere nearby, watching. Far beyond the moon, hidden in the shadows of an asteroid, Kael lay inside a healing chamber. His body was burned, his silver skin now cracked with red scars. But he wasn't dead. His ship's AI hovered beside him. "You offered peace, it," said they answered with weapons. "What is your command?" Kael's eyes opened slowly. "I remember an old law," he said softly. "From the days of fire, the AI listened. If you raise your hand in peace, and they answer with blood, you return with fire." The lights on the ship turned red dot across the control panels. Ancient glyphs lit up. Kael stood, his body glowing with new energy. "Begin preparation," he said. "Awaken the vault, call the sentinels, ready the judgment protocol. Kael, and bring me my armor." Back on Earth, news networks tried to spin the event. Some called Kael a spy. Others claimed he was a test by another nation. A few brave voices said the truth. He came in peace. We fired first. In the shadows, a small military intelligence group began digging into old myths. They found warnings buried in forgotten texts and dead languages. Stories of silver men and starfire kings once ruled the stars. And all the stories ended the same way. If you see them walk with open hands, pray you never see them return with closed fists. Kael stood at the center of his warship, now fully awake. The stars outside shimmered. He looked toward Earth. He did not smile. "I offered peace," he said. The ship began to hum. "Now I will teach them war." The stars were silent again. Earth believed it had destroyed the alien threat. News channels moved on. People went back to work. The world pretended everything was normal, but far away, in the shadow of a shattered moon fragment, something ancient had awakened. Inside a hidden chamber of the damaged ship, Kael stood shirtless, his skin still glowing from the burns. The healing chamber had closed most of his wounds, but not all. Scars now lined his back. Symbols burned into his flesh, the marks of betrayal. He stood before a wall made of black crystal, pulsed with slow red light. Kael placed his hand on it. Surface rippled like water, then showed a reflection not of his face, but of the past. He saw the moment his ship descended over Earth. He saw himself walking down the ramp, arms raised, open hands. He saw the missile, watched himself burn again. The ship's AI, a soft voice named Selah, spoke behind him. "You were right, Kael. Their first response was fire." Kael didn't move. "It was not all of them," he said quietly. "Hand cannot speak for a whole body. The hand struck first," Selah replied. "The code is clear." Kael's fists slowly clenched. "Then I answer with fire." In a hidden vault at the bottom of the ship, machines that hadn't moved in 3,000 years came to life. Red lights turned on. Ancient metal groaned. The ship began to rebuild itself, changing shape, forming armor around its core. This was no ordinary craft. It was a forged star, a weapon of judgment built by the Seralith Empire, Kael's ancestors. He had never wanted to use it, but now the fire had been lit. Back on Earth, Dr. Kenji Ito stared at the anomaly data. Something strange had happened near the asteroid belt. A small gravitational pulse, then a second, now a third. His assistant looked over. "Sir, whatever was out there, it's moving." Kenji narrowed his eyes. "It's waking up." The radar showed an object rising from the belt. At first it looked small, but then the sensors scaled up. It was massive. Too big to be a ship, too fast to be an asteroid. "Get me on command," Kenji whispered. Now. Meanwhile, in a war room beneath Washington, D.C., General Harrow slammed a fist on the table. "I told you we should have hit it with everything," he growled. "One missile wasn't enough." The UN commander raised an eyebrow. "That missile almost started a war we can't win. He's just one alien," Harrow barked. "Wrong," said a calm voice from the back. Everyone turned. A woman in black stepped forward. "Major Aria Quinn, a specialist in extraterrestrial psychology." "He's not just one alien," Aria said. "He's part of something bigger, something old. If you look at ancient contact records, there are patterns. He came to test us, and we failed." General Harrow scoffed. What do you suggest? Apologize, no, Aria said. We prepare because he's coming back. Inside the Forge Star, Kael stood at the armory vault. The walls opened to reveal an armor set not worn since the last galactic war. Smooth silver plates with glowing blue veins, a helmet shaped like a falcon's head, a long blade that hummed with energy. Selah spoke again. This armor was made for kings, not messengers. Kael stepped into it. I am no longer a messenger. He placed the helmet over his head. Lights flickered as systems came online. I am the last Seraph, and I remember our code. The armor locked in place. The sword latched to his back. Kael stood taller now, heavier, stronger. If peace is answered with war, then war will be answered with extinction. He walked toward the central control column. The ship's engines rumbled. Across space, probes from Earth tried to follow the energy signals, but they couldn't. The Forge Star blinked off radar again, this time. It wasn't hiding. It was hunting. Down in Antarctica, something strange happened. A satellite station caught a bright flash in the sky. Moments later, their signal died. When backup arrived, they found the station gone. Not destroyed, gone. Scaled into glass. Kael had fired his first warning shot. No lives lost. No message sent. Just silence. A calm before the storm. General Harrow called for full orbital defense activation. Satellites with nuclear payloads. Space lasers. Railguns. We take him out before he reaches Earth, he ordered. Aria watched the screen. Her heart pounded. He's not going to hit a city first, she whispered. He's going to take away something bigger, something we can't replace. I know she was right. 3 hours later, the moon flickered, then vanished, not blown up. Shattered just. Gone. All telescopes went black. Radio telescopes echoed with static. The gravitational sensors spun in panic. People screamed. The tide shifted. Storms began to rise, but in space. Kael watched from his command chair. Selah spoke. The moon is now sealed, cased in a temporal vault. It will not return until you give the order. Kael nodded. Let them fear the loss. Let them feel the weight of what they take for granted. Do you wish to speak to them? Kael looked into the screen. Earth rotated slowly in front of him. No, he said, not. Yet let them wait. Let them wonder. Then he stood, the stars reflecting in his eyes. When I return, they will know the cost of a broken welcome. It started with a whisper across observatories. A single radio telescope in Chile noticed something strange. The moon looked the same, but its signals were gone. No echoes, no reflection. It's just a hollow void. By the time Australian noticed the same thing, it was too late. The moon was flickered. And then, before the world could scream, it vanished, not shattered, not exploded. Just going to like someone had turned off the sky. All across Earth, panic hit like a wave. Tide patterns went wild. Coastal cities flooded as the oceans shifted unnaturally. Gravity changed just enough for people to feel it, a strange pull in there. Bones and emptiness they couldn't explain. Emergency rooms filled with dizziness, nausea, and fear. Skydash watchers cried. Scientists collapsed into silence. News anchors couldn't explain it, and in orbit, Earth's defense satellites reported the same thing. There was no moon. Major Aria Quinn stared at the black sky from her base in Alaska. Oh, it's not a weapon. She whispered, it's a message. Her assistant looked up. What kind of message? Aria's voice was cold. He's telling us. He can take whatever he wants. Inside the Forge Star, Kael watched Earth in silence. Selah hovered beside him. Moon sealed. Temporal vault. Stable. Earth cannot detect the distortion field. Kael nodded. Could let them tremble. Selah hesitated. Is this cruelty or mercy? Kael didn't answer right away. Both, he said finally. They took my offer of peace and answered with fire. I took their light to show them darkness. He stood slowly, fully armored, sword across his back. Now we see if they are ready to listen. Earth's government scrambled, united. Nations called for global emergency talks. Military leaders demanded action. But no one could agree on what to do. You want us to shoot back at something we can't even see? One general yelled in a live broadcast. In a sealed bunker under Berlin, a small group of scientists and diplomats gathered. Aria Quinn was among them. She stood before a large screen showing Kael's first appearance, the peaceful landing. The raised hands, the explosion. "This is not a war of weapons," she said. "It's a war of messages." He spoke. We shot. He left. Now, he's speaking again. "What's he saying now?" someone asked. "He's saying," Aria replied, "that this planet does not belong to us alone." Later that day, it got worse. 10. Communications satellites went dark. Then 10 more. SpaceX lost control of its Starlink network. GPS signals failed. Internet outages rolled across continents, and then every screen on Earth phones. TV's billboards flickered at once. Kael appeared. His silver armor glowed faintly. Behind him stood no background, only darkness. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. His voice was calm, slow, measured. "Earth, I came in peace. I raised no weapon. I spoke no threat. You responded with fire. And now you will listen. You have 3 cycles 72 hours to surrender all planetary weapons. Space-based, ground-based, undersea, all of them. Or 10 of your cities will vanish like your moon. You will have no second warning." The screen cut to black, and the world began to fall apart. In major cities, riots exploded. People rushed to escape, but no one knew where to go. Some called Kael a god. Others called him the devil. In military bunkers, generals planned full-scale retaliation. Launch everything. General Harrow shouted, "If we hit him fast enough, we might stop him." But Aria Quinn stood in the way. "You're going to start the destruction you're trying to avoid," she said. "He's waiting for us to act. If we launch even one missile, he'll strike." "Then what do you suggest?" "I suggest we reach him," Aria said. "We talk. We explain." Harrow laughed. "You think an alien warlord wants to talk?" Aria's eyes were hard. "He did once." Aria and a small team launched in an old stealth ship, hidden from modern satellite tracking. It used ancient tech from Earth's first space war era tech. Kael's scanners wouldn't recognize. She had one plan: get close enough to speak to him before Earth made its final mistake. Her ship slipped through low orbit, past the dark zones, past the failing satellites, toward the last known pulse of Kael's forged star. Inside the alien warship, Kael watched her come. Selah blinked. Unknown vessel approaching. Energy signature obsolete. Human design. Kael stood silently. Selah asked, "Shall I destroy it?"
No.
Kael shook his head, "No. Let it dock." Dock. "But Kael, she's not here to fight," he said quietly. "She's here to ask why." Selah paused, then opened the outer gates. As Aria's ship locked onto the massive forge star, her crew gasped at the size of it. It wasn't just a ship. It was a city, a planet forged of steel and memory. "Stay behind," Aria told her team. "If I don't return in 10 minutes, leave." She stepped into the airlock. The door hissed open, and she walked into the belly of the beast. Kael waited in silence. When Aria entered, she didn't see a monster. She saw a man, a tired one. His eyes glowed, but with pain more than rage. He didn't raise a weapon. He simply said, "Why did you come?" Aria didn't flinch. "To tell you we made a mistake," she said. "To ask you to stop this before it becomes something no one can take back." Kael studied her. "You were late," he said. "Maybe," she replied. "But I'm here now." Kael turned away toward the stars. "I do not wish to destroy Earth, but I will, unless they understand." Aria walked beside him, then helped them understand. "Don't show fire, show them truth." Kael looked at her with cold eyes. Truth, as a cost. And outside, above Earth, the countdown continued. 72 hours until judgment. It began without warning. Just after midnight, people across the world looked up and saw something strange in the stars. A faint grid of light stretching from one side of the sky to the other. It wasn't natural, didn't belong. At first they thought it was a glitch, a reflection. Maybe a new satellite system. Then it moved. The pattern shifted, curved around the planet and locked into place. That's when the power started flickering. Phones died. GPS vanished. Planes grounded. The internet slowed, then stopped. Something had sealed Earth inside a cage. In the Orbital Defense Command Center, General Harrow's team scrambled. "What are we seeing?" Harrow barked. A young tech answered with panic in his voice. "It's a full-spectrum grid, wrapping the entire planet. Energy-based. We can't scan past it. We can't send signals out. We're cut off." "Cut off from what?" Harrow growled. "From everything. No calls to the moon base. No signal to Mars. We're trapped. Inside." The room went quiet. They were no longer defending Earth. They were prisoners inside it, far above. Kael stood at the center of the Forge Star. His ship floated in low orbit, just outside the glowing shield now wrapped around the blue planet. Sayla reported, "Shield system deployed. Phase 1 complete." Earth's communication with space. Severed Kael didn't smile. His voice was calm. Now they understand what it means to be silenced. "Do you wish to begin orbital strikes?" Sayla asked. "No," Kael said. "Let them sit in silence. Let them wonder what comes next." Then he turned toward the hologram of Aria Quinn still in a secure room within his ship. "Bring her to me." Aria walked into the command center. Of the Forge Star again, this time escorted by 2 floating drones. She stood before Kael, looking up at the planet now wrapped in energy. "You sealed them in?" she asked. "Yes," Kael said. "To give them a taste of what they did to me. You fired first. You spoke with violence. Now I speak with power." Aria's voice was steady. "You've made your point." "No," Kael said. "Not yet." He waved his hand. A display lit up, showing Earth's 10 most populated cities. A countdown appeared over each. 60 hours remaining. If they do not surrender their weapons, these cities will vanish, he said. "You don't want to do this," Aria said. Kael looked at her, his face unreadable. "I never wanted to do this." But peace was answered with blood. In Geneva, world leaders argued in secret rooms. Some said to surrender. Others said to fight. But no one knew what Kael would do next. Then the Earth itself began to change. The sky took on a strange glow. Clouds froze in place. Storm systems stopped moving. Something was interfering with the planet's natural weather, and then the shield hummed. People everywhere heard it, a deep, soft vibration in their bones. Not painful, not loud, but constant, as if the planet itself had a heartbeat. That's when they realized the shield wasn't just a wall, it was a machine, and they were standing inside. Major Aria Quinn sat in the observation deck of the alien ship, watching the Earth rotate below. Kael stepped beside her. "You are not like the others," he said. "I study behavior," she replied. "That includes alien behavior." "Okay. And what have you learned about mine?" Aria looked him in the eyes. "You're not trying to conquer us. You're trying to teach us." Kael nodded once. "But they refuse to learn." "Maybe they will," she said, "but not through fear." Kael turned away. "Fear is the only language they answered me with." A long silence passed between them. Then Kael said something strange. "This shield is not only a prison, it's a test. If they surrender, I will leave. If they fight, I will transform their world." Back on Earth, underground command centers raced to find weaknesses in the shield. "We're not getting out," Kenji Ito said. "It's locked from the outside. Nothing Earth-built can cut through it." "Then we have to work from within," Aria's assistant replied. "But how?" Kenji whispered. They all stared at the countdown ticking away. Then something changed, all across the planet. The shield opened one small hole, barely large enough for a message to go out. Only one signal could pass through. A call, a request, a chance. Back in orbit, Kael received it. A single message from Earth's scientists. They weren't begging. They weren't threatening. It was a simple line. Let us understand you. Talk to us. Don't end us. Kael paused. Sayla asked, "What is your command?" Kael looked at the Earth, eyes cold but thoughtful. "They want understanding," he said. "Yes." Kael's voice was low. "Then they will see what my people became, and what Earth could have been." He turned away. "Begin Phase 2. "What is Phase 2? Sayla asked. Kael whispered, "I will show them the stars, just before I burn them out." The world held its breath. Skies were dim. The stars above no longer sparkled through the energy shield that wrapped the Earth. No satellite signals, no communication with Mars, no way to call for help. And above them, in low orbit, the Forge Star loomed like a silent god, watching, waiting then. The world changed again. Every screen on Earth phones, TVs, billboards, wristwatches, even ancient radio devices lit up at once. Kael stood before a dark background. His silver armor glowed. His sword, now visible, was sheathed behind his back. His eyes shone like blue fire. His voice was calm, cold. "Earth, your time has run out." The words hit harder than any weapon. "You were given a choice." You answered. "Peace with violence." You ignored your second chance. Now, your weapons will be your undoing. 10 cities. 10 flames. Unless you surrender all weapons in 30 hours. He paused. "To prove I am not bluffing, I will take one." He raised his hand. Across the planet, defense systems went online. Fighters launched, missiles prepared, but nothing could stop. What came next? A light flickered in the sky, small at first, like a falling star. It hit Moscow. There was no explosion. Sound. Just silence, and then Moscow was gone. Not a crater, not rubble. Gone. Panic flooded the globe. Sirens blared. Military. Channels screamed. Families ran to bunkers. Leaders shouted into broken radios and in orbit. Kael turned his back to Earth. Inside his ship, Aria Quinn watched from the observation room, hands shaking. Her voice was almost a whisper. "You really did it." Kael didn't respond. She walked. To him, anger rising. "You wiped out a city. It was millions of lives." He turned his head slightly. It was one life to prevent billions. "That's not peace," she shouted. "No," Kael said. "It's the end of war." In the ruins of the UN Crisis Center, surviving leaders gathered in a bunker below Iceland. The US President, the Russian Vice Premier, the Chinese military chief, and Aria's former commander. General Harrow joined the call. "We have no options," someone whispered. "We give him what he wants," Harrow snapped. "We hand him our weapons like sheep." "He just erased a city," the president said quietly. "Oh, this isn't a fight we can win." General Harrow slammed his fist down. "If we give up, he'll rule us. We'll be slaves under an alien king." "No," Aria's voice said, coming. In through the cracked screen from Kael's ship, she'd broken into the call. "He doesn't want to rule. He wants to leave. But not until he's sure we won't do this again." On board the Forge Star, Sayla spoke to Kael. "Cities have begun to shut down defense systems. Some are complying. Others, preparing strikes." Kael nodded. "They are still divided." "Yes. Then we divide them further." He raised a hand. A second beam formed in the sky, this time above New Delhi. The countdown flashed on Earth's remaining screens. 27 hours, 19 minutes, and 0 seconds in falling. Meanwhile, Aria took a risk. She walked deep into the Forge Star's restricted vaults, where no human had ever stepped. Sayla tried to stop her, but Kael allowed it. "I must show you something," Aria said, "and you must see it." She carried with her a data drive stolen from Earth's top command. Inside it was video. Proof that Earth's missile strike during first contact had not been a full military order. It had been launched by one rogue general. General Kael watched the footage carefully. Then he said one word. Why? Aria answered softly. Because we feared what we didn't understand. Kael's hands trembled. For the first time, his voice shook. I offered peace. I was answered by a coward, stood and turned toward the command deck. No more. Back on Earth, secret bases activated their last defense plan. Project Sci-Fi, massive space-based. Cannon designed to vaporize anything in low orbit. Its power core had never been tested. Now it was being prepared to fire at the forged star. Arius. Voice broke into their coms. If you fire, everyone dies. But General Harrow was already moving. We fire, he said. Now, as the countdown dropped to 25 hours, the forged star blinked red. Kael turned to Selah. A new energy surge. Where? Low Earth orbit. Position North America. They are preparing to strike. Kael walked to the edge of the deck. His sword slid from his back and locked into his hand. If that weapon fires, he said, the planet ends. Aria grabbed his arm then. Let me stop it, she said. Let me talk to them. Kael looked into her eyes. If you fail, I won't. Go. Go. And for the first time, Kael gave Earth something he hadn't before. Third chance. The skies were quiet, but the world was burning inside, across Earth. People stared at the sky, watching the glowing countdown on every screen. 24 hours, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds. 1 day left before 10 cities would vanish, just like Moscow. 1 day before Kael's final judgment, in deep underground, in a secret base outside Nevada. Earth's last hope prepared to leave. Major Aria Quinn stood inside a dark hangar, her hands shaking as she suited up. The stolen stealth ship hummed quietly behind her. It was the same one she used to reach Kael's ship before. This time, she was flying back to Earth, and she only had one mission: stop Earth from firing first again. Meanwhile, Project Sci-Fi continued charging. Engineers worked in silence, afraid to speak. A weapon that was never meant to be used was now one button away from activation. General. Harrow paced behind the control crew. He gave us an ultimatum, he growled. He already erased Moscow. If we wait, he'll erase 10 more. Not attacking yet, an officer replied.
Ow!
He gave us a chance. A trap, Harrow shouted.
Always.
But in the shadows, a few of his own soldiers began to hesitate. Because above them, the Earth's sky wasn't just glowing, it was watching. Aria broke through the clouds in her ship. The old tech still worked. Kael's shield didn't block it. She flew low, fast, and silent. No one tracked her. She made contact with her old team inside the bunker. Get me in, she said. I have proof. They smuggled her into the Sci-Fi base through an underground water duct. Soaking wet, she climbed up through the tunnel and ran into a storage room. Then she walked straight into the war room and faced Harrow. What are you doing here? He snapped Aria through a drive on the table, stopping you from ending the planet. She turned to the screen behind them and played the video, the real one. A recording from the day of first contact. Harrow, in uniform, his voice calm. His orders. Clear if that alien steps foot on Earth. Launch. Don't wait. Kill it. The room froze. You disobeyed command? One general whispered. You started the war. Another said. Harrow reached for his gun, but Aria was faster. She pulled hers and aimed it straight at his chest. No more lies, she said at that moment. Above Earth, Kael stood inside the heart of the forged star. His sword was locked to the floor. His armor was sealed. He watched the countdown drop. 20 hours, 19 minutes, and 52 seconds, Slough spoke. Sci-Fi weapon now fully charged. Energy output, terminal. Kael nodded slowly. Any changes on Earth? One human entered the command center. Unknown outcome. Kael stared at Earth. Prepare. The final wave. If she fails, he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. Back in the Sci-Fi base, Aria stood before the full command team. She spoke calmly, clearly. You have proof. You have the truth. Kael knows it wasn't Earth as a whole. gave us a way out. He didn't have to. What if it's just a trick? Someone asked. Aria looked them all in the eyes. Then we die either way. But if there's even one chance, he means what he says. Then firing now would be murder. A long silence followed. Then the base commander stood. Power down, Sci-Fi, General Harrow screamed. You're making a mistake. He reached for a backup trigger. Aria stepped forward and slammed him to the floor. You made the mistake a long time ago, she said, and Sci-Fi went dark. Sayla spoke again. Signal detected. Weapon deactivated. No launch. Kael stared ahead. He closed his eyes. He breathed. They chose restraint. Yes. What about their weapons? Salel hesitated. Partial shutdown. Some nations complying, others resisting. Kael turned to the glowing countdown. 17 hours, 2 minutes, and 14 seconds. He waved his hand. Pause it. The numbers froze. Across Earth, the world saw it. People cheered. Some cried. Some fell to their knees. It wasn't over, but it wasn't ending in fire. Not yet. Aria sat on the hangar steps outside the Sci-Fi base. The sun was rising over the mountains. Her team stood beside her, silent. A shadow fell over them. Kael. He didn't land in a ship, simply appeared, a blue glow fading around him as he stepped forward in his armor. Aria stood slowly. You saw? She asked. Yes, Kael said. You believe now? He nodded. Some of you want peace. But peace is not given, it is proven. Aria nodded, so let us prove it. Kael looked out at the sky. There is still one final test. In orbit, the forged star powered down. Its weapons went silent. The shield flickered once, then again, and then, like sunlight through clouds, the moon returned. A soft cheer rose across the world, but Kael's words echoed in every corner. Peace is not the absence of war, 'tis the presence of wisdom. Choose wisely, Earth. The countdown remained frozen, but not erased. It started with a scream from deep space. A radio telescope in Kenya picked it up first. It sounded like grinding metal, echoing across light years. Then came a shockwave, not physical, dimensional. The stars rippled. Kael felt it before any sensor. Dot inside the forged star, alarms lit up. Sayla's voice was sharp. Dimensional breach. Coordinate sector 0. 4 jumps from Earth. Kael stood instantly. Who breached it? Salel paused. Not human, not Seralith, unknown. Kael's eyes narrowed. They followed me. Back on Earth, things were changing. The moon had returned. The shield around Earth was down. People were beginning to believe in peace again. Some nations had fully shut down their weapons. Others were still talking. And Aria Quinn. She was back at the UN Crisis Center, standing before the council. You've seen it now, she said. He gave us our moon back. He stopped the countdown. What more proof do you need? The room was quiet, then her phone buzzed. It wasn't a call. It was a signal from Kael. She opened it, and her face went pale. Inside the forged star, Kael broadcasted live for the third and final time. His voice echoed across every screen.
By radio.
And satellite, this time not as a warning, but as a shield. Earth, prepare yourselves. Something is coming. The images followed grains of visual data showing creatures ripping through void space. Shadows shaped like spiked glass, moving without engines, crawling between stars. They are the old devourers. My people locked them away. But when I opened the forged star, they found my trail. Now they come, not to teach, not to speak, only to burn. At first, Earth didn't believe it. Some leaders thought it was a trick, Kael playing a new game to force obedience, but then they arrived. The first ship, if it could be called a ship, was seen above Neptune. It was the size of Australia, made of bone and dark crystal, moving without sound. Telescopes melted trying to capture it. Communications satellites exploded without impact. And then, the screams began. No one knew how, but people across Earth heard it in their minds, like teeth gnashing, like metal cutting through nerves. Kael appeared again. This is not your war. But they will not care. To them, life is a meal. I will stand between them and you, even if it kills me. Kael activated the Forged Star's hidden protocols. Vaults opened. Weapons long banned even by Seraph law were revealed. Prepare the Aegis protocol, he said to Selah. It will tear this region of space, she warned. Even your armor can't hold against it. Kael placed his sword on the control. Node, I won't let Earth burn for our mistake. And with that, he jumped, not with engines, not with thrusters. He folded space. He reappeared at the edge of the solar system, alone facing the monsters. They were endless, twisting in the dark like broken mirrors. Some screamed like children. Others didn't move at all, just stared with hundreds of eyes. They had found their way in. Kael stood before them, floating in space, glowing like a dying star. I am the last of Seraph, he said. I am the shield between what lives and what feeds. And then he attacked. On Earth, the skies lit up with color, red and silver. Lightning arcing through the atmosphere. Gravity pulled strange for seconds. At a time, people held onto walls. Buildings creaked. The ocean stilled, then snapped back into motion. This was no war fought with guns or missiles. It was a war of gods, of forces too old to name, and Kael was the only one who stood between. Earth and death back in the UN chamber, Aria Quinn stood. Up, we need to help him, a general scoffed. Help him? With what? Our nukes? No, she said with hope. With unity. She turned to every camera, every feed, every mic, and she spoke not to soldiers, but to humans. We are not weak, or not small. He stood for us when we had no reason to be saved. Now we must show him we are worth saving, across the world. Something incredible happened. People broadcasted one message in every language. One phrase, one promise. You are not alone. The message was picked up by the Forged Star's secondary systems, and Kael bleeding in space. Armor cracked, still fighting, heard it. Through static, through pain, through the dark. You are not alone. Kael's eyes opened wider, and he stood once more. For Earth, for humanity, for hope. It was not sunrise. It only looked like it. The sky burned red as energy storms rippled across the edge of the atmosphere. The oceans rose for the second time in a week. Birds flew in strange patterns. Gravity itself pulsed like a heartbeat out. Of sync far above, Kael floated in deep space, his armor cracked, glowing from within, sword flickering with fading energy. The devourers were still coming. His last strike had torn their front lines apart, but it wasn't enough. It kept coming, hundreds, thousands, endless, Kael's. Single quotes, his voice came through the Forged Star comes, faint but strong. Salah, prepare the last light protocol. Salah hesitated. That will destroy the Forged Star. And you, Kael nodded once. Then let my death give them life. Back on Earth, Aria stood on a rooftop in Geneva, watching the crimson sky tremble. She wore a small earpiece linked to Kael's signal. His voice cut in and out. She knew what he was about to do. He's going to end himself. She whispered. People gathered below, listening as she climbed onto a broadcast tower and opened a live global feed. She spoke clearly, urgently, to every city, every country. Listen to me. Kael, the alien who came in peace, who we attacked, who spared us, who warned us, is about to sacrifice himself to save us from something we brought to him, but we can still help, not with weapons, but with connection. Broadcast. Your voice, your face, your heart, let him know Earth is awake. That Earth will remember him. That Earth is worth saving around the world, it began. Children holding candles in Brazil. A violin player in Berlin. A group of monks in Tibet ringing a prayer bell. A little girl in Tokyo holding up a sign that read, "Thank you, Kael." The Earth. Lit up not with fire, but with humanity and in orbit. The Forge Star's sensors collected all of it. Billions of signals, billions of voices, billions of hearts. Kael stood at the center of the Forge Star's core. The last light device waited before him, pulsing like a sleeping sun. Once triggered, it would collapse time and matter across a small section of the solar system, just large enough to wipe out the Devers and him. He looked into the signal feed one last time, and there he saw her, Aria, and behind her, the world, singing, crying, reaching. "You are not alone," her voice said again. Kael's fingers hovered over the trigger and paused. "Selah," he said, voice softer now. "Yes." He closed his eyes. "Is there another way?" There was silence. Then Selah answered. "But it requires one thing. What you must trust Earth." Kael looked again. The humans were still sending signals. Not one nation had launched a weapon. No military had fired. Even the Sci-Fi cannon remained cold, and he knew. They had passed the final test. "Begin the second protocol," he said in a flash of white light. Forge Star folded space again, this time around the Devourers. Not to destroy, but to trap. Kael unleashed a time prison built by his ancestors. One so powerful that no race ever dared use it again until now. A ring of energy spun around the enemy ships. The creatures screamed, distorted, clawed at nothing, and were frozen in time. Forever the sky above Earth went still. The storm ended. The light faded, and silence returned to the stars. Aria stood on the rooftop, her eyes full of tears. "Did it work?" someone asked. She looked up. The clouds parted, and through the clearing they saw Kael's ship, still floating, still alive. The Forge Star, scorched but intact. And then his voice. "You are not perfect, but you chose peace. Over fear, you chose unity over destruction. You chose to believe, and so, I believe in you." The countdown that once glowed red across every screen on Earth. It faded, then turned gold and red. Welcome to the stars. 3 months later, the skies above Earth were full again, but this time with invitation. Kael stayed in orbit as an ally. He helped Earth build a peaceful bridge to the stars, teaching them how to protect themselves without war, without fear. He met with leaders. He walked among children. He smiled. And when asked why he spared humanity, he simply said, "Because one voice, one act of courage can turn enemies into allies." Major Aria Quinn. She led the first human team to join Kael's new galactic council. Not as soldiers, but as defenders.